Let's edit a couple TG-7 photos shot underwater with just a few simple Lightroom adjustments to turn these into these. Now, both of these photos were shot with this setup right here, the TG-7 with the Ikelite housing and Ikelite Echo strobe. So if you've recently picked one up or are looking to, this will be a good example of the quality and flexibility you can expect from photos on your next dive. All right, so I'm here in Lightroom and I have these two photos that were shot on my most recent trip to Yap with the TG-7. And we're just gonna jump into the first one by hitting D to go into the develop module. And from here, you can see that it's already pretty good right out of camera. We've got a ton of contrast and a lot of saturation in the fish, as well as the anemone that surrounds it. But first thing I'm gonna do is just raise the exposure a bit. Just something like that. And you can see we've lost a little bit of contrast when we've done that, so I'm just gonna add a bit more contrast in. From there, we can also go up to the white balance and either use the white balance dropper and find something middle gray, or go down to this drop down menu and hit auto. This will try to white balance your image automatically. However, this is a bit too cool for my taste. So I'm just going to raise that back up, warm up the image. Something around there looks good to me. We haven't really made too many adjustments, but the image is already looking good. So I'm just gonna make one more final adjustment, which is to bring out the fish. So I'm gonna go up to my mask and draw a radial gradient mask just around the fish. Uncheck show overlay so that I can see what I'm doing. And I think the front of the fish is a little hot from the strobe. So I'm just going to turn down the highlights and just even out that color a little bit. And then from there, I can duplicate and invert that mask so that I'm affecting everything that is not in that circle and just bring down the exposure a bit. And that's just gonna help bring out the fish. And then from there, I'm just going to raise the saturation a bit. And that is before and after. This image really didn't need too much work because the strobe provided all the light and contrast, but I think a few simple adjustments really made it pop a bit more. Moving on to the second image, we have a nice shot of some anemone fish eggs, and right off the bat, I can see that it's lacking a little bit of contrast. So I'm just gonna go over to my contrast slider and bump that up. And I'm also going to raise the exposure a little bit. Somewhere around there. All right, I'm also going to auto white balance the image to see if that helps. And again, it's a little bit too cool for my taste, so I'm just gonna warm it back up. Somewhere around there. All right, so if I zoom in, I can see that there's actually a fair amount of detail in these eggs, which is incredible for a camera this size. But I do want to bring that out a little bit more. So I'm going to come down to my clarity slider and just bump that up a little bit. You can see that's before and after. So just brought out those eyes a little bit more and the definition on the eggs. All right, next thing I'm gonna do is go into my masks and I'm going to try and take the viewer's eye away from this bottom part of the image. I don't really want to crop it because I like the composition how it is, but I'm not a fan of kind of the mess that's down here. So I'm going to add another radial gradient. This time I'm going to zoom all the way out and hit invert and draw a really big radial gradient. It's hard to see right now, but if you lessen the feather on it, you can now see, if we zoom in, we're only affecting this bottom portion of the image. So from here, I'm just going to lessen the exposure a little bit. And that will hopefully just draw the eye towards the center of the image a little bit more, and the top, because I do like the colors at the top. So that's before and after. All right, back in our global adjustments, I think I'm just going to add just a touch of saturation and vibrance to this image. Not too much though. All right, and I think the image is looking pretty good without overdoing it. I think, again, it was great right out of the camera, just needed a little bit of exposure and contrast. And this is the before and the after. All right, thanks for tuning in on this demo of the flexibility that you can get out of the TG-7 and editing in Lightroom. If you have any questions, you can drop them in the comments down below. And if you're looking to pick up this system for yourself, the link is in the description down below, or you can shoot us an email to ikelite@ikelite.com.